premiere of the film in Venice, I've had the sort of occasional great pleasure of talking to Alejandro and finding out where he is. And it's like Italy, Spain, France, England, Mexico, where else? But you know, the film is also the Mexican nominee for the Academy Awards this year. And so they're, you know, these folks are in a real journey. They're in a real journey. They've got a ways to go. But how are you feeling? How are you feeling about this?
In Bardo, absolutely in Bardo. So thank you everybody for coming tonight. We're very excited to be in New York. Very, very excited.
So just starting from the beginning, and I didn't actually know this, but I was looking for the notes this afternoon, and Bardo sort of derives from or comes from Tibetan Buddhism, I think, originally. And I was just wondering how let's say, how Bardo became the basis for the film, and what brought you to make this film?
Well, I think it has been taking me a while. I was took by surprise when we presented the film. It came from a very, from that interior space that we all have, and very intimate. And it was made from material that I have never worked with in my life, which means that the films that I have done, I'm used to see the world with my two eyes open and observe it and assimilate it and make something about it that means to me or has effect to me, and I want to express something about it. And I think during the last 6 years I started feeling a lot of things. And for the first time I thought that I should do something not with my eyes open, but with my eyes closed. When you close your eyes, you look inward, and God, there's a lot there, right? We all have a lot there that you don't know very well, but you have to go in a journey, and it's infinite, and it's an introspection. And I think it took a lot of time and courage to navigate through a lot of emotions that has been manifested in different ways that I could not really make sense of them. Has to do with the distance of a country that my family and I left 21 years ago, with a lot of sensations, emotions, ideas, reflections, feelings, and memories. Memories that suddenly there's a dual existence when you leave your country, which, sorry, I think it's my wife. Mi amor. I'm here in a Q&A, so she's in Mexico, I'm not joking. So that's the guy in there, that's the guy here. That's the dualism that I'm talking about. So that's kind of what happened. And anyway, so that was a way for me to put together all these things. And that's when it came. It was a way for me to understand where I was and collecting rescue memories and make sense and collective memories of my country that has shaped me, and that I'm not from here, I'm not from there, I'm not from anywhere, and when you want to go back to your country, you are not belong anymore there. And when you are here, you don't feel completely integrated or belong here too, and all the immigrants in the world feel that. So it came from there.
It's not an autobiography, and I just wanted to riff a little bit off of what you were just saying. It's not an autobiography, but one of the things that I took away from the film today is the compassion, the compassion for your characters, the compassion for the country, the compassion for I think yourself also. And so, in being introspective and looking a little bit at yourself and on screen, can you speak a little bit to the sort of the most well, not the most personal, but the kinds of challenges that you faced in writing and then making the movie?
I think I was talking a couple of hours ago about that. How I do not believe in autobiography. I don't believe in that, because I think those are lies. I think those are sum of hypocrisy. You know, I don't think that we own the facts or we can make the facts a truth. It's the events that happen in your life. You live it through your limited nervous system, and you experience them and you interpret them and you accommodate emotionally what that means to you. But they are experienced by many people, and every event is in a way experienced by many beings, right? So it's your point of view. So again, I don't think the autobiography in a way demands, thinks that it has a truth. Again, I don't believe. I think this is not a biography, but I think that what I did was I identify the emotional, acupunctural things that were truthful and has an emotional conviction, because memory doesn't have truth. It has an emotional conviction. The emotion that event or things that happened great to me, they were truthful, emotional. And I think that when you are doing something like that, you have to betray reality. Because fiction, which basically means that you are betraying reality, the purpose of fiction is to try to achieve a higher truth. Something that has a higher meaning, and that I think is the key, because I think fiction has the ability to reveal what truth is hiding, right? And I think that's a very interesting. So this film is made of that. It's not me. I create an alter ego in where I know very well this guy is not me. And this guy played incredibly by Daniel Jimenez. Express those truths, express this higher truth, and I think that's the best way to explain your life.
That's a fantastic segue. Thank you. So Daniel, I don't know, for those of you who are beginning to know Daniel, he has worked with some of the greatest filmmakers in the world. Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorite filmmakers, Lucrecia Martel. And thank you. And then what drew you to the role and in the process? What in the process of taking on the role and the performance itself?
Well, this process, they've been asking me a lot of how is to portray Alejandro, and how was that process. And maybe sometimes I feel I disappoint the journalists that ask me this, because I never engaged in portraying him. So for me it was a fiction character. I knew there were personal stuff, personal material of his life in the movie, but for me it was a fictional character, and I approached to this as I always do, well, like bringing all my personal stuff, but with a big difference this time, that I never worked on designing or constructing a character. It was like just learning the lines and every day saying, how do you feel today? That's the way the character is going to be today. You don't have to arrive to a specific goal or do a climax here, nothing. Just be present and let it happen. Let it happen, let it happen. This was my mantra. Like, let this flows over you and receive, react, and be there. That's it. That was the process, and it was really magic, because then so many things of my personal life came out. Personal life, with the relation with my sons, my father, mother, my past, the way I wish I could die. It was all the time, all reflection of a very, like just Alejandro said, closing my eyes and watching inside me. So it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful process of contact and dialogue with me for a lot of weeks, because we were shooting 26 weeks. So I had time. like a mystic retirement. Yeah. I enjoyed it so much. And Alejandro, he loves acting and he knows it very well. So, because for this process, I was just telling you, you need to be very confident. You know, that you have an eye outside there that is taking care of you and watching you. And we had an extremely strong confidence to feel free. And I was completely free. I was just looking at him and he was saying, go, next. Go. Yeah.
But isn't that the ultimate and more sophisticated way of acting? Right? Because I mean, being present, being honest, being real, isn't not acting in the more purely way, not to do the big strokes and the big dramatic and exaggerated interpretations of emotion, but allow with confidence real emotions. It's not that the most difficult thing in front of 100 crew members with lights and camera and being present? That's what these guys did. So an applause.
I think that also, in listening to you, Alejandro, I think that everybody, I'm not going to speak on behalf of everybody, but towards the end of the movie, as you see the various characters who have been in the movie, you see your father, your mother, and you find yourself returning to the experience of those two scenes. And I was really just, I could almost feel like the texture of the relationship between you and your parents, and just those little moments, and it's really, really beautiful. So, you also have children, and Jimena, how did you find Bardo? And, or how did Bardo find you?
That's a big question. I guess, by the way, I forgot to take out my Invisalign, so it might sound funny. Bardo found me, I think, from before I was born. Like, I think that I've always believed growing up. My parents always told me to believe in manifesting what you want and your dreams, your desires, and living through gratitude and living through emotion and being really honest. And then I did that. I pursued acting and honesty, clearly. And then after that, I found myself casting, auditioning for this film. It was an interview. I just had to be myself. So I actually also had to just surrender. Be like, if it's meant to be, it's going to be. I'm just going to be myself. Whatever. Thank God I went into it that way. And then after callbacks and chemistry reads, which I already connected throughout that entire process with Alejandro and Daniel as well. I was so grateful. I was like, even if I don't get the part, I've gotten an amazing experience. And then filming, I got cast, and we didn't shoot until about a year later almost. So, you know, I was still like, you know, you get cast, but it's only official till you're on set doing it. And I'm still in that Bardo. It's been just such a wild and amazing experience. It's really been an incredible project. Incredible in like so many ways, not just wow. It's been surreal.
And Iker, your first film, right? So your first film, how was the casting process? How was entering into your first movie? How did you experience it?
It was a really crazy experience. I did acting in theater when I was really, really young, and I dropped out because I was so into sports. I was like, this is all my life. I'm gonna be elite. And my mom would always tell me, you have to pursue strong, kick those asses, So that was lecture, and then I did a couple commercials after I dropped out of theater, and I felt a lot of like emptiness in it, so I ran away from it. And I was randomly walking in school one day, and the casting director saw me from far, and he said just like, and he asked me if I wanted to do casting, and it was for another project actually, but that led me to this, to Alejandro's casting, and the first time I got the casting, it was just one question. It was the question was, what do you think about love, and what's love for you? And that was really special. And my family were so excited. Oh, you're casting again! So everybody like lined up behind the camera, and they were like all waiting for my answer. And I was like, I got really nervous in front of my family. And after I answered that question, I felt really vulnerable in front of my family, because I've never said such a vulnerable thing in front of this side of my family. And I think that's when things started to change energetically. And a couple months later, I was in Alejandro's office with Danielle doing the 13-minute scene for my first time. I rehearsed like 3 hours on the plane, nonstop. When I got out of the casting, I started to cry. I started to cry really, really, really bad. And I would hug my mom all night and tell her I was super happy that she did the best. I'm so proud of myself. And I didn't even have got the role yet. I was just casting her. And I was already like crying of happiness. And when I got the role, it was like a movie scene. I was with all my friends in my room, and my mom got into the room like, yes. And all my friends started to jump and hyping, and we were all jumping and crying.
But I had the added experience today of the juxtaposition of the conversation on the terrace with the entire sequence in the music hall, and I think people would probably love to hear just how it was built and constructed and produced.
Thank you. Well, the California Dancing Club, as you can imagine, was one of the most challenging sequences. It had so many moving parts. It was a lot of extras, but also like all the lighting. It had a lot of prep work with lighting, with Eugenio Caballero set dressing, with Daniela Rojas, our set decorator, and the most important part of that process for me, the most interesting was Alejandro's vision and how he put it together and how everything was rehearsed and how basically he had it in his mind, from every beat of the music and when things were going to shift and change, and how Jimena was going to give the cues, and all the camera movement and all the choreography, all the dancing and all the extras. The preparation of that is what was the most interesting to me.
And all one take.
Yeah, it's all in one take, and basically the terrace upstairs, that was a different set. It wasn't part of the California Dancing Club. We had another location for that, so we had to tie that together. And the preparation and the choreography and just rehearsing. And Alejandro has explained a lot about how he, with his work with actors, he's basically putting everything together in such a way that everyone owns it, and then there's this exploration, and it can be spontaneous, and there's like this incredible adrenaline that happens when everything had to be so precise, and every light cue, every light in the place was in consoles, and everything was being cued to the music. So it was an amazing challenge. Yeah.
But I want to say something. I think you are minimizing your work. I think that as you producers know, I think all the qualities of the image and things, that's one thing, but this scene this is a theater, well, it's a dance club that is mythical from the 50s, from all the intellectual taxi drivers, middle class, high class reunite, and it's 14,000 people allowed in that room, and it's a salsa room, and it's the Fania All-Star time. So there was like 1,000 extras in that, and we were in the middle of the pandemic, and everybody with the test of PCRs, and mask, and heat, and smells, and sniffing, and coughing, and you know, and between every take, everybody was doing that. So to put all these people together, cast the people that were great dancers from that period, and test them, and all the wardrobe, I mean, the logistics to make that happen, you can understand how difficult it was, which was Stacy work. And the scenes from the immigrants, that mountain of people going down. We were with 700 people at 1 a.m. in the mountains with spines and cactus. And all the cars that you see, every car in that line is real, there's no CGI there. So we have 200 cars knocking. What I'm saying, the logistics behind this, or the downtown, all these people follow, all these stores has to be closed, negotiate, months in advance to one of each stores be negotiated, each of them taking advantage of this thing. So to get the downtown of Mexico closed is more difficult to attack Iraq, you know, it's a fucking thing. So anyway, that's the work of these men.
The cinema.
Yes.
That you were working with two people that you hadn't worked with before, and had created such stunning imagery and really such a stunning experience. So how was it?
I think during my first 4 films I worked with the same people, and then you develop a language, but then something started getting like and then I started enjoying to suddenly start getting the knowledge and excitement to work with new people, and this experience was completely new for me. There was no single person that I had worked before in my life. Only one, Martin Hernandez, which I started the radio with him when I was 20. He is the sound designer with Nicolas Becker, which is another member, which the sound design was amazing with the new couple. And working with Darius Conji, which I always said that is a brother that I found when I was 58 years, and I said, where have you been in my life? And we became just so close. Eugenio Caballero, which I know him 4 years ago, I did a couple of commercials with him when we were young and happy. And then Ana Terrazas, the Bardo designer, which she did an amazing job. And I think that what I'm saying is it was a very long pre-production because we had to stop 2 times the pandemic, and so suddenly it became a work that was so pre-visualized. I storyboard every single frame, every single location was studied, analyzed, every set was built based on very thoughtful rehearsal, step by step, build some walls and see that everything was done. This design of the lights, the sources of light, the way it's going to be moving the light in this. I don't know if you noticed, but in some of the sets, the light is moving, creating this sensation that something is off. It's like, it's very subtle. So all those things were pre-designed, and we became kind of the more controlled film that I have never shot. And for that, the family, I mean, all the departments, we became incredible. And I was learning from them their new approaches. They were kind of being fed by me the way I have been doing films in the last things that has to do with the way I did Birdman, or the virtual reality project that I did, an installation that was about the ghost scene, everything. So I was trying to transmit what I have learned, and I'm excited, and I was learning from them how they approach. So it's exciting to work with new people because you have to be more aware, and you don't take it for granted, you know, and that really came. It creates another level of awareness.
I think we have time for probably one more question, but the film is the film is so layered, and you know, I know exactly where I'm going to be on November 14th when it comes out in theaters, which is right here. watching it again. And I think that's going to be a similar experience for a lot of people. But it's so emotional, it's so
The challenge is in some way, I think that I have learned that this film is a very Mexican film. It's a Chilango film. The guys who has born in Mexico City, they call us Chilangos. In a way that there is a lot of layers and a lot of codes that Mexicans really get. Like, for example, the salamandra, the fishes, the salamandras that you see is ajolotes. And the ajolotes are these creatures that only exist in Mexico, and they are in extinction, and they are a mythological animal that they really, any part that you cut from their bodies, they reimmerse immediately. So it's a phenomenon that German people are studying, and Switzerland really, and there's books about, Roger Bartra wrote the book about how this is about the Mexican resilience about things. So things like that, or the Xoloscuincle, the dogs that are looking at, I put a lot of things. Or the scene, the conquest of Hernán Cortés and Silverio in the pyramid on top of the bodies is the eternal discussion of a very open wound of a country that was conquered 500 years ago in that same plaza where the Aztec Empire was destroyed and gods and civilization was completely destroyed. And in that same site is what that happened, and that's a wound of a mestizo country, of a very mixed race country that has not really put together their own identity yet. Or the American and Mexican War, you know, where half of our country was bought by 15 million pesos, and you know, it was almost an invasion. So it was, and I wanted to talk about these things with humor, as you can see, right? Because I think it's just with humor that you can really survive pain and things that are not fixed. So Mexicans, in a way, has a relation with these macro events, and at the same time, from my personal perspective, I'm sure that these intimate things, with the best honesty that I could, I hope that speak about universal themes that every American, every human being in the world has lost some family member, has been disappointed about friendship, has not been accepted in their own societies or communities, has been challenged by friends and jealousy about ex-collaborators, has had some mother or son that's only challenged and put the projector, you know. So all these things that, as Daniel said, he applied to his own experience as a father, as a son, I think that hopefully this film, I never expect to speak to everybody in one way. I hope that all of you have experienced this emotional, and you have attached, and you have said, I will have loved to speak to my father like that one day. And I lost this person, and you know. So again, it's the fictional thing of the world we imagine that we could construct and build, and that's what art should do. And I think these universal themes attached to all of us, and coming from a personal thing, that's what I expect. If I'm honest and I'm intimate, I'm sure that I will connect with some people, and I hope that we did.